Welcome to Her Anime Universe. I'm your host Carla, and if you love anime, manga, and the stories that inspire and entertain us, you're in the right place. Here we get into epic adventures, heartfelt romances, unforgettable characters, and even the lessons we can take from them. So whether you're here for nostalgia, new recommendations, or just a good time geeking out, join me, a longtime fangirl, as we explore the universe of all things anime, manga, and even the occasional K-drama. Remember to follow, like, and subscribe, and if you enjoy the show, leave a review. It helps more anime lovers find the podcast and keeps the conversations going.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Her Anime Universe, where we dive into the worlds of anime, superheroes, K-dramas, and all things fantasy. I'm your host Carla, and today we're talking about a topic that has made some moves and always makes some of the best characters, the villains, who believe they are the hero of their own story. And these aren't your run-of-the-mill, I just want to destroy everything for no reason villains. No, these are the ones who genuinely believe their actions are justified, that their way is a right way. But before that, let me tell you what I've gotten myself into recently, a couple of updates from some possibly website news that I've seen here and there. And yeah, first of all, a couple weeks ago with my stepson and the husband, we went to the free anime and game art Expo Austin. Unfortunately, we were only able to go on Friday night. It was a whole weekend thing, but I'm definitely going to try to make it the whole weekend next year. And man, these artists have some really cool artwork, so creative, so funny, and I even got to briefly ask questions to the voice actors of Suki from Avatar, The Last Airbender, and even the voice of Chun-Li from Street Fighter. That one was news to me, so it was kind of cool to get a chance to meet someone who has done such notable roles. Other than that, I've been figuring out what content you want to hear, what other updates I can bring. For example, I'll tell you right now, but one thing I also want to ask you is, or tell you or update you on, is that this show is going to be coming out on Tuesdays instead. So we are a little behind on when I wanted to give you an updated episode, but I do have another podcast and I'm not trying to make an excuse here. So we're going to be switching the weeks. So the next episode is going to be in 2 weeks. But other than that, just wanted to give you that quick update. But for example, some things that I've heard online and maybe I'm behind on, but I'm catching up, because I'm getting into this world. For example, 5 of the seasonal anime lineups for the winter are dun 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 dun, Solo Leveling, Dragon Ball Daima, Toilet Bound Hanako-kun Season 2, ReZero starting Life in Another World Season 3, The Apothecary Diary Season 2. From those, I've been into 2 actually. The Apothecary Diaries, I don't know why that's a struggle sometimes, which I'm waiting to finish the whole season before watching it. So I'm waiting for them to put all the episodes before I even press play because I hate waiting. And of course, Solo Leveling. I mean, hello. And I had originally said that I wasn't going to watch Solo Leveling for a while because I've been reading the manhwa and I couldn't help myself. Anyway, what are you watching right now or waiting on? And the thing, okay, so let me go back. Solo Leveling is crazy. It's good. The manhwa is so good that no wonder they needed to adapt this into a show. And it just keeps getting so interesting. And I'll give you a little bit here that the part of Jeju Island, I don't know why, but there seems to be different creators who put ants as the evil ones. So I wonder if there's something there. So yeah, I just thought it was interesting that, like, for example, Hunter x Hunter, one of their evil, creatures is an ant. Like I said, what are you watching right now? What are you waiting on? I'm also planning to watch Captain America Brave New World because, like I said, this isn't just anime and mangas. And let me tell you something I heard about Captain America Brave New World, which according to Rotten Tomatoes, it won the box office the second weekend in a row with $28 million. And at the same time, there's news that it's going to be a kind of loser for Marvel and Disney, like the Marvels and Black Widow, because it dropped a lot from the first weekend to the second weekend. But you know what? I'm excited to watch it. I love all things Marvels. And even not the ones that are super great because, it's just crazy to me how they're all connected. Other than these quick little updates, Alex, my bonus 12-year-old child, is now even more excited to cosplay at an anime convention. So we will probably start planning for that. So that's it for now. Let's get into the main thing for this episode. Yes, I want to talk about those villains we love to hate and hate to love. The ones who believe that they are the hero. So let's start with Aizen from Bleach. He's like a mastermind. Sosuke Aizen is a definition of a chess master. From the very beginning, he had a plan within a plan within a plan within who knows how many plans. He believes the Soul Society is flawed and stagnant, and that he alone has the vision to push beyond its limits. What do you think is his ideology? Well, let me tell you, only the strongest should rule. Do we agree with his methods? I know I don't. Do we maybe admire his confidence and execution? Absolutely. Yes, definitely. Aizen has such a calm demeanor, like a god complex, and is absolutely certain that he is in the right, making him one of the most compelling villains in the history of anime. At least this is my opinion, yo. I at first didn't understand his deal. I didn't understand why he had to go and fake his unexistence from the Soul Society, but only a real genius and evil at the same time being can accomplish that. At times, he seemed to care for his people, but that was the wildest thing about him. Did he actually feel anything for anyone? I'm not actually true and sure about this. If anything, Aizen made me realize how important it is to be careful about who we trust. And of course, I'm not saying don't trust anyone. Personally, I give trust first until someone gives me a reason not to trust them anymore. Honestly, I don't have the energy to live in a constant doubt, right? Or suspecting people. What about you? Do you trust first, or are you someone who doubts first? So let's move on to the next one. Hisoka from Hunter x Hunter, right? He's someone, some people may say he isn't really like a villain, but a rather chaotic force. Maybe he has mental health issues, doing whatever interests him in the moment. I know I don't say that. I definitely see him like a bad guy or an instigator. And I do maybe think he's got some mental health issues, but I also see him like this creep. And from his perspective, he's not evil. He's just seeking worthy opponents. In his eyes, the world is a game, and he's only interested in playing with the strongest players. He doesn't seek destruction for the sake of it. He simply follows his own set of rules. He almost reminds me of Goku from Dragon Ball in a way, not in morality, definitely not, but in the sheer drive to look for strong opponents, just for the thrill of the fight. And in some ways, he has even a bit of Vegeta's mindset, constantly looking for the next challenge to prove his strength. Now, the difference with Vegeta is that eventually he does start to evolve. He started as one would say, evil, but as he becomes part of the crew, he starts caring about others and becomes more than just a warrior. I mean, he becomes a dad who's, just in for the thrill of the strongest fights. And eventually Vegeta's not. So definitely will always challenge Goku though. Hisoka never really learns to care about others, right? He's literally in the pursuit of battle. It is his purpose. It's in his core, and he believes there's nothing wrong with that. That's what makes him so unpredictable, creepy, I would say scary, and at times fun to watch. He's kind of like funny. And I think one of the things about him that I feel like one can learn is not to be afraid of seeking a stronger opponent, because that is a way that you can constantly challenge yourself and at the same time grow. I think he personally doesn't really grow out of his weirdness and, creepiness. But for us regular people, we actually evolve when we step into uncomfortable challenges in life. So yeah, those are a few that I'm thinking about right now. And of course, this is her anime universe, right? So I have to speak about an evil and powerful woman, and back to maybe a little bit of that nostalgia, right? Think about this one. Or do you even remember her? Queen Beryl from Sailor Moon. Queen Beryl is one of those villains whose motivations stem from love, from betrayal, and power. She wasn't always evil though. Her downfall started with her heart being broken. She believes that she was wronged and that she has every right to take back what she lost. Originally, she was known as Beryl, as the kind sorceress, but her love for Prince Endymion turned that into that heartbreak when she saw him fall for Princess Serenity, right? And at this point, Queen Metalia preyed on her jealousy and envy. She twisted those emotions into dark energy that transformed Beryl into Queen Beryl, into that villainous queen we know today. And her actions about spreading darkness and attempting to take over Earth are all fueled by this crazy idea that she is simply taking back what would have been hers. The people, her ruling, maybe even the love that she once lost. And that's what makes her story and her character almost tragic, right? If things had gone differently, could she have been someone entirely different? I don't know. All I know is that we have to be aware and careful about those negative, or I should say not negative, but tough feelings, right, of envy and jealousy, because they're powerful forces that can lead people down dark paths, just like they did for Beryl. And then these people, they then make choices that hurt others. And I'm a believer that people's behaviors shape their results. So be aware of your own feelings and take that self-responsibility. Yeah? Cool. So we've been deep in the world of anime villains, but like I've been saying in this podcast is all things anime, manga, and beyond. I almost named this podcast Her Anime Universe and Beyond, but it just felt really long. So that means we're not just sticking to one universe. And if there's one other world I can't get enough of, and I've said it in the beginning, it's the Marvel Universe. I'll admit it, I'm a bit of a sucker for it. I mean, the interconnected stories, the larger-than-life characters, and of course the villains who genuinely believe that they're doing the right thing. And sometimes the annoyance of the heroes who are doing the dumb crap, to be honest. And that's exactly the kind of thing we're talking about today. So let's shift gears a little bit and break down some of the best, at least in my opinion, or some of the ones to really think about, right? Marvel villains who truly think that they're the hero of their own story. So let's start with this one. Loki, right? He's a trickster. He has a cause. Loki is the god of mischief. And you know what? I actually named a dog that, and he actually played the part. And it was funny. Like, I was like, why did I name you? It's like, you played into what I called you. It was funny. It was annoying at times. But anyway, Loki has gone from this full-on villain to anti-hero over the years. But his core belief remains. He is destined for greatness. He has spent his life feeling overshadowed, and he truly believes he was meant to rule. I mean, he has been in Thor's shadow for so long, he technically, too, is not a biological son of Odin, oh my god, as we at some point find out. So personally, I think he acts in a way that is maybe a way that is overcompensating. The thing about Loki is sometimes he's right. He's incredibly smart, strategic, he's charismatic, right? He's definitely someone who is a good actor or pretender as well. People are drawn to him. His need for power and validation often leads him down a destructive path. Is he a villain or just someone trying to prove his worth, like I said? What exactly is he trying to prove? I mean, I feel like he already has it all. But sometimes there's this feeling of not being good enough maybe for him. And that struggle of never feeling good enough, I hear it all the time in the work I do with people I coach. Even when we give our best, it can still feel like we're falling short. So maybe, just maybe, take a moment today to recognize what you have accomplished. You're doing better than you think, I promise. So what do you think? Is Loki truly a villain or just someone trying to find his place? And when it comes to jealousy, do you think it's an evil emotion or do you think that's just part of being a human? So let's go to everybody's maybe favorite, not so favorite, one of the worst maybe, Thanos, the mad titan, the necessary evil, right? The man who wiped out half the universe and genuinely believed he was doing the right thing. What's his philosophy? Overpopulation is ruining the universe, and extreme measures are supposed to fix it. And let's be real here. Overpopulation is a real-world concern that people debate all the time. Thanos just took it to the absolute extreme. From his perspective, he's not evil. He is a savior pretending future suffering, okay? So Thanos is a savior pretending anybody from suffering in the future. Think about it. He's taking care of a problem from the root, yeah? In his mind, he's taking preventive measures. There's a saying that's something like, It's better to be prepared, right? Or even taking action before you plan to fail. So it's like fail to plan, plan to fail. So it's something like that. I don't remember. So that's what makes Thanos pretty scary and terrifying, because unlike villains who want chaos, Thanos operates with cold, logical reasoning. He has analyzed all of this. He is someone who you would think has almost like this scientific engineering mind. His motives make sense, even if his methods are horrific. I definitely would not take an extreme action like this, because I'm most of the time a person who thinks we can work something out. I'm like a middle person a lot of times. I'm a mediator. But he was like either this way or the highway. And honestly, I think it's okay to want to improve the world, but maybe have someone who balances you out, maybe even calls you on your BS before you do something extreme and go mad Titan and wipe out half the universe. Now, this character is one of my favorites because he's like I saw him, at least in the movies, since I was little, like a kid. Magneto. He is one of the most compelling Marvel villains because at his core, he's not wrong. Mutants are oppressed, and history has shown that fear often leads to violence. He believes that if mutants don't rise up first, they will be exterminated. I think Magneto fights for the rights of mutants, believing they deserve to exist as they are something they had no choice in, right? They were kind of born into that. To him, they are not a threat. They're just different. It's like thinking about, we can't neglect or hate people with disabilities or the people who are extremely gifted. So he was out there fighting for justice for themselves in a way, but he has a unique way of approaching that. Unlike Charles Xavier, who believes in coexistence, Magneto sees war as inevitable. His past trauma fuels his belief that he must act before it's too late. It's, in my opinion, trauma that he has not dealt with from when he was a child and when he was separated from his family. And that's what makes him such an interesting villain, because depending on the perspective, he's not a villain at all. Personally, he's almost more like the anti-hero more than a villain. He's not out there destroying, trying to take over the world because he just wants power, right? He already has it. What I think is that sometimes people fear those who fight for justice, especially when they challenge that status quo. But it's important to understand the motivation behind their fight and whether the actions taken truly lead to justice or just more division. At the end of the day, Xavier and Magneto just represent two sides of the same struggle, that coexistence versus survival. Whether we agree with one or the other, the lesson here is that real change comes when we seek understanding, not just opposition. We may not always agree, but we can choose to listen and learn from each other. So, those are some of the evil villains, anti-heroes that I wanted to talk about. And now I want to hear from you. Which villains or anti-heroes do you think truly believe that they are the hero? And do you think any of them are right? Hit me up on Instagram or Threads at HerAnimeUniverse and let's talk about it. And remember to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. So keep watching, keep asking questions, and embrace your universe. So that's all for today. Till next time.
That's it for today's episode of Her Anime Universe. Thanks for hanging out with me and geeking out over all things anime and manga. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow, subscribe, and leave a review. It really helps this podcast grow. Let's keep the conversation going over on Instagram at Her Anime Universe or even on my other page at Coach Carlita. Until next time, stay bold, stay curious, and keep being unapologetically you.